Have you ever wondered if there's a game that blends Until Dawn with Buffy or Scream, but keeps the controls of Silent Hill or Resident Evil with the addition of Sum 41? No? Well, what if I told you that exists, and it's also fully co-op? Obscure on PlayStation 2, released in 2004, only a few months before Resident Evil 4 dropped and took survival horror by storm. Developed by Hydrovision Entertainment and inspired by the 1998 film The Faculty, a movie where students discover their teachers are aliens. Hydrovision wanted to make something unique, but still keeps its influences close, which hurt the game on release being compared to many other survival horror titles of its time. And once Resident Evil 4 released, this 6 out of 10 title was left in the shadows and forgotten. That is, until almost a decade later. The game had a resurgence due to the cult following and remaster being released on Steam, keeping everything intact except for the Sum 41 opening. It now sits at a comfortable 8.8 user score on Metacritic and is overwhelmingly positive on Steam. If you haven't already, it's well worth the $10. Although this game was compared to everything, it very much stands on its own. All the footage I'm using today will be the Steam version because, yeah, due to the collectability and COVID messing up the secondhand market, this game on the PlayStation 2 is a little bit pricey, and unfortunately the emulation has a game-breaking bug not allowing the player to progress. As the game begins, we're introduced to our ragtag group of friends with some cliche tropes. We have Kenny, voiced by Liam O'Brien, the athletic one, Josh, an amateur filmmaker, voiced by Sam Riegel, and Shannon, Kenny's sister, voiced by Stephanie Shear, the observant one. Kenny and Shannon's parents are away, so our boy Kenny, he's hanging back, staying out late, and sinking baskets with ease. I mean, this man just doesn't miss. We gain control of Kenny and can continue shooting hoops until the player decides to venture around, and you can hear his phone ringing. We head to the change rooms and answer the call only to be berated by our presumably girlfriend Ashley, voiced by Tara Platt.
Hello?
Kenny, you were supposed to call.
All because we've forgotten about our date? The camera shows Kenny getting a tongue lashing as someone sneaks up and takes Kenny's belongings.
Good. And don't be late this time. See you, baby.
Okay, I'll be right there.
After Kenny receives his talking to, he turns around and sees his bag is gone.
Where's my bag?
We as the player, knowing what's happened, the chase begins. We leave the change rooms and only just miss the thief leaving the courts. But, due to Kenny's amazing ability to run, we charge for the prankster or thief. As we come outside, we only just miss them. We follow behind, leaving the campus into the gardens behind the courts. We continue the chase, only to stumble onto a squatter's wet dream.
I didn't know there was a garden behind this iron door.
Well, the basement door is wide open. Why wouldn't we enter? I mentioned in my Silent Hill video that James's self-care is established to the player very early on. Kenny here has rocks in his fucking head and doesn't think. Once we enter the basement, Kenny finds a flashlight and a gun, only to hear some questionable noises coming from the ladder behind us. Well, Kenny's strapped. He's carrying that thing on him, and he ventures down. At the bottom of the ladder, we're met with a dark hallway, with roots protruding the walls and oversized rats running at our feet. We approach the end of the hallway, only to be stopped by a black smog covering the door. It even damages us if we get too close. To deal with this, we have to use our trusty flashlight to dissipate the smog. This mechanic will come into play further on. We then pass through and arrive at what feels like a containment or possibly testing area. Kenny is still undeterred and really needs that backpack.
Where is this light coming from?
We continue through, only to be met with a crossway. Right or left? Well, the left option is locked, so right it is. We enter a dark room with shackles to the wall and the place really looking like a right old mess. Except the room's not empty. We find an extra to American History X.
Your references are out of control, everyone knows that.
The other student, realizing Kenny is a dumbass, tries to save us,
get you out of here quick.
but makes this comment as if he can leave himself, but has to stay.
Don't abandon me, whatever you do. He's nuts.
Kenny agrees and decides that maybe the backpack just isn't worth the trouble. We've got no idea on what's going on or why this kid is being imprisoned. But as we leave, our companion grabs a gun. We exit back into the containment room, and as we run by, this guy joins in on the fun, as well as the oversized rats from earlier. The big guy's design is great, looking human-like, but stretched and contorted, a terrifying enemy who hits like a truck. Just look at what he does to our friend. We leave our buddy and make use of Kenny's ability to run again, straight for our exit. But once we reach the ladder, the exit becomes sealed. An absolutely fantastic prologue, and this is a perfect reminder that if you like these videos and want more coverage of your favorite games, leave a like and subscribe.
So, tell me, how was your date?
The game cuts to the next day, following our ragtag group of Shannon, Ashley and Josh, wondering on the whereabouts of Kenny, and agreed to meet after school if he doesn't show up today. Josh behaves like a bit of a psycho and doesn't seem to understand the severity of his friend missing.
I'm really starting to get worried.
I know. Aliens beamed him up to their ship, did some experiments on him, and finally killed him.
What a shit friend.
Please take your seat, young man.
At the end of the day, our group meets up in the cafeteria, but here's the janitor lock the place up tight. The game gets right into it, and it's something I can really appreciate that there's no fluffing about.
Quiet, someone's there.
So, since we're locked inside, what do? We need to find something to unlock the door, but with Josh's investigative skills, the storeroom holds some wire allowing us to pick the lock. Only thing is, the storeroom is locked too. Well, we collect our prize and move into the hallways. Every exit is locked and our wire just simply doesn't cut it. So we go exploring, and in one classroom we find a note informing us of a missing screwdriver. And if I'm a betting man, I reckon I might find it underneath this bookshelf. Sure enough, I'm locked in, a gamer of sorts. But where do we go with this? Well, if we go take a quick piss, we can...
This place reeks!
Okay, not in here. We can find a vent in the girls' bathroom, allowing us to slip into the staff toilets and granting us access to the staff room.
It's dark in here.
Don't even think about it.
We also find a rusty key, but nowhere else to explore but up. So, that's our next destination. Once we head upstairs, we find a corrupted looking door, with a key that fits right on in it. As we enter, with each step, the music becomes more eerie and dreadful, as if we're about to encounter something. Once we reach the top, the room's empty. These three little meatballs come charging at us. We try defending against the attack, but thankfully a teacher comes to our rescue. He smashes the window, allowing the light to instantly vaporize our enemies.
Mr. Walden, what are you doing here?
You've got to get out of here. Quick.
But those things, there, what are they?
Injured,
I don't know.
but
I'll
still
make you find
concerned for our
out.
safety.
Call the authorities.
He tells us to get out of here and go see the principal, Mr.
But I'm
Friedman.
looking for Kenny.
The absolute gentleman even unlocks the doors for us to leave.
But how? All the exits are locked.
I'll open the door to the courtyard for you. I have something I need to do.
He runs off, doing his own
Looks like
thing,
we got ourselves
and
into
as
a
we all
real sticky
gather into the
situation.
courtyard, Ashley tries to call the cops, whilst Josh is behaving like a wanker with his camera.
Miss Ashley, what was your reaction when you saw those creatures?
Get lost.
Do you really think you'll get out of here alive?
Don't bug me, okay? I'm calling the cops.
Suddenly, reception drops out, and Josh's camera poops itself.
Filming for hours.
It's not possible.
So any luck?
Stupid phone. I get no reception here. What are we gonna do now?
We don't have any choice. We've got to warn Friedman.
The group decided that we need to inform Friedman, instead of just leaving. So, we head to his office, but upon entering the building, we see the place is trashed. We take a sharp left and duck into the classroom only to find Stan.
Stan, what are you doing here?
Nothing, dog. I'm just editing my
Someone
notes.
so spaced, he doesn't even know the school is in shambles.
Hey, stop.
And you? Why are you hanging around? Is something wrong?
So he joins the team, creating our team of 3 to now 4. Stan's defining character ability is to pick locks, something everyone can do with the wire. I mean, sure, he can pick them a little quicker, but really? Whatever. Let's bring him along. Down the hallway, we find a storeroom with our first gun. Upon picking up our new weapon, we hear a long, agonizing scream in the distance. We run down the hallway, only for our little meatwad friends to come out and stink the place up. Once we clear these guys, we can pick the lock to the boys' toilets and find a health kit. Keep in mind that you can't collect this if you haven't got a torch.
You can't see a damn thing in here.
We head back out and venture further down the hallway. Now, although I don't have the original clip,
Jesus! I lied? Apparently it can just fucking come from every hole.
this actually scared the shit out of me. For failing to capture this moment, just pretend it's pretty close to Poshman's reaction to RE1. When fighting this monster, I couldn't help notice it retreat whenever the light was on it, and a gleaming memory came to mind with shades from near.
Good to see you, Kaine.
You look like shit.
But I'll just ignore that. Afterwards, we enter the classroom behind it, only to be ambushed by testicles with teeth. Thankfully, some nearby windows will make short work of these guys, but if you're not quick enough, you might lose a companion. And once you lose a companion, you're not greeted with the game over, no. The game keeps going. Remember when I said until dawn? Yeah, there's pretty much permadeath to your party. I really like this, although it does lose some weight when I can just relaunch a save. I wish this game had an Iron Man mode, or even make saves a little less frequent, or at the very least make saves at a designated area, making the player feel more conflicted on if they should relaunch a save or just keep going. In this room we find some acid that can melt a nearby lock to the second floor. We head upstairs and find a student looking like one of Stan's mates. Except once we approach him, he pulls a shiv on us and changes into one of the creatures, initiating the question on if the monsters we're snuffing out were once fellow students. Although, it's just a theory. A game theory. I'm not doing that. But if that is the case, our morale compass is a bit on the twisted side, because we ain't stopping. We reach the principal's office and fuck up his window to gain entry. Just imagine if he was cowering in his office and some psycho student storms in with a baseball bat and a gun during all this chaos. Thankfully, he's not here, but there is a message questioning our dear principal on what he's up to. Experiments, you say?
I think it has something to do with the experiments. I saw several students who, well, it's really bad. Come quick. Oh no!
The only other thing in this room is a safe.
Mr. Friedman, are you in there?
That holds a new gun with ammo and the library key.
Friedman is in the library.
There's also a
Let's go.
tape, but we can't watch that yet. So off we trot across the courtyard. We head inside the library and find another drongo sitting in the dark. I've already been fooled once this game. This student morphs into a monster different to what we've seen, almost an evolution of Stan's mate, creating that theory into a very real situation. We cap our fellow classmates and clear the rest of the floors to the library until we stumble on our beloved Mr. Friedman catching up on some light reading. We announce our presence and concern. For the principal to be shocked that students are still on the campus. He sends us on our way to the janitor to get us out of here because he seems well aware of the monsters, but also doesn't want his students to be hurt, so it's probably best not to tell him our KDA. If you haven't pieced it together, our principal is behind the experiments and monsters, but he's not like other villains as he still has care for his students. He's more like Norman Osborn before the Green Goblin. I wish this game's story was, dare say, more obscure, because everything is laid out in front of us with very little mystery that doesn't lead to a whole lot of guessing. After our conversation, day becomes night, but why do we care? We don't have to smash any more windows, we're out of here, off to the janitor. But as we step outside, we hear and feel some renovations happening. But again, it's not our concern.
Something's collapsed.
We reach the janitor's room only to hear him having a yarn with someone, but as we approach, a scream is let out.
You freaky little bastards are not getting out of here that easy. Come here.
We head inside to see what all the carrying on was about, only to find our dear janitor not wanting to really talk to us. Well, fuck him. Let's loot the place and grab our new toy. Just behind the mute janitor, we find a security room, and such a place holds a VHS player. We check the tape, only to find Kenny is alive in a prison-like cell. We've got no idea if Kenny is still alive or how old the tape is, but it's something. We also see on the security footage that the staff nurse is in need of assistance the next building over.
Nurse Miss Wixon.
Unsure on Kenny's location, the nurse is our next stop. We enter the building next door and see a student hanging, although this isn't of their own doing. As we approach, we see a fleshy-like tongue is what's holding her up. Our new enemy is a mutated fly, walking along the ceiling, looking for us to be its next victim, but it's unaware of our new shotgun we've just collected. After we lay waste to all the monsters within the building, we reach the nurse, unscathed by everything going on, but clearly off her meds.
Oh, another one.
What do you mean another one?
Kenny? Herbert?
Herbert?
He never let them
So
out
that's the
before.
freak that kidnapped
It's
Kenny?
Leonard.
That Leonard, he's gonna get
He
it.
wants to get out. There's no
She's
way
gone
to stop
AWOL.
him.
She doesn't understand a
He's
word I
just-
say.
Rambling, but speaking as if she knows exactly what's going on. So we stock up on some Monster Energy drinks, some med kits, and collect an item that opens a door near the cafeteria where we originally began. So that's the next location, and we leave the nurse where we found her. We arrive back in the beginning lobby. You'll notice that the large rumble we heard earlier was this area collapsing, and is now overrun by some lovely gentlemen, and if you're not ready for, could very well wipe your party. Once we clear these funny buggers, we can make haste to the staff room and open our new door with the crank that we collected from the nurse. Within the door that we just unlocked, we're allowed to collect a reel and inspect some photos showing there's underground tunnels beneath the school, which can be accessed at the theatre. So with our new knowledge, That's our next location, but we stumble onto our favorite teacher who saved us at the beginning. Except he looks panicked and grumbly states that he's looking for Friedman. We tell him our plans and ask for the keys, which he doesn't seem to care and tosses them our way. Thanks, homie. We enter the hallway to the theatre, and our group takes note of the school photos over the years and pick up that our principal is looking the same over the past 100 years. Kinda weird, but I feel weirder shit has happened tonight.
These old photos? Friedman. Man hasn't aged a bit.
Inside the theatre, we find a projector screen, so let's set it up and have a squiz at our new reel. We see a younger version of our principal in black and white film testing on himself, which appears to give him the opposite of a facelift. This might not actually be our principal, since he doesn't look anything like that, but for those who did some snooping within the library, we may have read that our principal has a twin. After watching that horror show, we search around the theatre for the tunnel entrance, only for us to find Josh's mum laying around upstairs. When I first encountered this beast, Josh wasn't in my party and I genuinely thought this was him, and the game would have swapped between who you had brought along, except that that's not the case. It's a simple nobody, that's just another statistic.
What the hell is that?
Once defeated, we can now lock the elevator in place, and make sure you do, because looky here, our entrance to the tunnels. We gather the gang and enter the less than inviting tunnels.
Crap! Now we can't go back up.
Well, we're all collectively stuck down here now, so our only option now is to just venture through these tunnels and see what we find. Once we defeat this guy, who hits like a stepdad, the hallways are now littered with these guys. We continue venturing for our survival until we run into a ghost of sorts. It's Kenny, who's surprisingly not a grotesque monster, but before we can free our buddy, Friedman gets the jump on us, throwing in a knockout gas and caging us like dogs at the pound. Once we wake, we see everyone caged with no way out. We're stuck. Unless, of course, if we use Josh, who just so happens to have a comically large pole beside him, which you can pass to Kenny, allowing him to push the unlock all button. Absolutely genius writing. Either way, we're free, but Kenny needs a breather, hogging up the cutscene, showing us he's unwell. Kenny claims that he's been experimented on, and we've all been injected with the monster bug. A crucial bit of information leaves Kenny's mouth, stating that we'll all be transformed if the light even touches us, just like we've already seen.
The infirmary. We've got to see Wixon.
She's nuts. I don't trust her.
There's no choice. We only have till sunrise. After that, we're done for.
We need a cure, and quick. So we dart off, trying to find our escape. Thankfully, an entrance back in the courtyard is found, and we head back up. Once all regrouped, there is only one person we know of to go talk to, the nurse. So, off we trot, back to the sickbay. Except, once we arrive, her position is about to become available. She's been attacked. We choose to get some answers instead of helping, and she tells us of an antidote down in the underground
Been
labs.
infected.
That bastard
Herbert,
Friedman
you've
did
gone too
it.
far. You need to find the antidote.
Friedman has an
In the
antidote?
basement.
Where?
The lab, the big door.
In his lab? Right? But how do we
Other
get there?
entrance. The gardens.
An entrance in the gardens? A different one?
Don't let him go. Forgive us.
Wixon. Wixon.
Before anything else is said, she keels over and dies. There's nothing left for us to do except explore, and sure enough, one new area is available to us via some bolt cutters we found underground before. The campus dorms.
Sure doesn't look too comfy in here.
There's not too much within this area. You'll find a second floor that instantly kills you if you're not careful, as well as a safe that contains a map to the underground labs, a key that is to the door behind Friedman in the library, as well as a student's logbook who had pieced all this together once before.
It's December 2nd, 1969. My name is Alan Gardner, and this is my diary. 26. I have now counted 26 cases of missing persons connected with the school. Strange that the police have never come up with anything about it. Our school was founded in 1902 by twin brothers Herbert and Leonard Friedman. Herbert is still our principal. That would mean he's at least 100 years old. I just found their birth certificates. Judging by that
How
date,
have they stayed so young for so long?
I found this photo of a woman with Herbert, or Leonard. She looks a lot like Ms. Wixon. Photos from
According
the
to
late
this marriage
19th century.
certificate,
Ms. Wixon and Leonard got married.
We learn that our principal doesn't age, and the nurse was married to the twin, even showing the marriage certificate and dates, meaning our nurse looked pretty good for 100 plus years of age. So after learning all that, let's go put our new key to good use, and head to the library. We enter, finding the place trashed, and a reel left on the desk.
Here we are at last.
And since we know what to do with reels, it's back to the theater.
2 more statues to go.
Before we leave, our beloved teacher pulls us up,
Still here.
sick and frantic, stressed even.
An antidote. There's an antidote? You're sure of that?
I'm absolutely positive. According to Wixon, it's behind some big
We
door.
fill him in on our recent
How do you plan on
endeavors
finding
and
it?
mention the map of the underground labs.
A map.
He snatches from us and runs away,
Hey,
locking the
give me back
doors
my
trying
map.
to stop us.
He stole my map, that scumbag.
But there's more than one
Possible
exit,
to open it
idiot.
from this side.
So we travel upstairs and get back to the courtyard, allowing us to continue back to the theater. Upon watching our new movie, we see a code on display. And because I'm a
What a weird movie.
gamer, I can figure out that
What's
this
that
code
number
would unlock
supposed
the gate, allowing us into the gardens. There's enemies all over the place here. Far more than I can be bothered with, especially since I've now got Kenny and his exceptional ability to run.
Suck on that! Get lost!
Once we make it through the gardens, we arrive at our familiar squatter's den. And since we've been here before, Kenny can take the lead. We head down memory lane, only to find our old buddy waiting. Except, he's got no idea how many children have ceased to exist due to us, and he's no different. Once he joins his fellow friends, we continue on our same track, except we can now go left. We find a lot of different pathways, but ultimately still leading back to the same area we need to be. Some big, giant doors. The next room over is the switch to open the said doors. But just as we do, a cutscene plays out showing our teacher arriving as they open.
Stop, that won't help.
You're lying!
But it won't do you any good.
That's the antidote! Give it to me, right now!
You've been exposed to too much light.
No!
Walden, stop.
Give me the antidote or I'll shoot!
You've already started to mutate!
So, with that, we learn that Friedman was trying to save his brother. Our Professor Waldron is taking a forever snooze, and it's just us left with the twin. Instead of helping, we choose to end this abomination.
I almost did it.
This is our final boss, and well, it sucks. You have to shoot his limbs off, causing the roof to collapse. For doing so, the twin will send out a wave of darkness your way, and if you're not standing in the light, your perfect KDA ends. It's a one-shot. Once we destroy the limbs and the roof caves in, it allows us to escape and shoot up that sweet cure. That is until phase 2. The worst phase. This part had me stumped. Whatever I did caused no damage. He even killed my party of 2, and I still finished the game? It turns out you just meant to wait it out and survive. Waiting for the sun to dissolve this big dickhead. If you finish this with an entire team surviving, you're greeted with a cliffhanger type ending. And if you finish with a dead party member, you're greeted with a somber funeral and a cliffhanger type ending. Both of which suck, and personally, the funeral is better of the two. Even with the simple character personalities, I really did enjoy this game. It screams early 2000s and is full of cheese. I love that. I just wish this game's story was a bit more obscure. The most obscure thing about this game is its ending. I'm still yet to play through Obscure 2, but if you keep an eye out, I might be streaming it. Remember, if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe and leave a like. Thank you to my Patreons Defilier and SaggySack, and until next time.
You're here, aren't you?
Yes, Bart. I never left you.
What do you want from me?
You'll see. After the surgery.